Our brains can't think of all the implications for this. All I can say is like 10 years ago, we used to be so cool because we would be like, oh, we're a digital first agency. We're digital first. We're digital first. Digital first is dead. Now it's AI native. Digital first used to mean knowing how to run ads on Facebook. Right. Now, with AI being AI native, it means building entire campaign infrastructures around machine learning, generative content, and predictive analytics. One of the things we haven't talked about, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but Eric, you can just touch on it at a surface level because I don't want to give away too much secret sauce. But the predictive ability of things that are data-based for AI is going to dramatically impact campaign advertising.
I won't give away too many secrets.
Because we've already done a little bit of this and it's incredible.
Yeah,
it's insane.
All right, let's roll. Let's roll. On that note, that's what we needed for a little icebreaker. Welcome to episode 2 of the Push AI podcast. My name is Brian Athey. Today, we've got Phil Vangelakos, our managing partner, Bonnie Hansley, our VP of production, Eric Frenchman, who is our chief advertising officer, and also joining us is Holly Walljasper. Holly is our web project manager, and she's also a budding vibe coder at Push Digital. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about from our launch last week, but I think that where I really wanted to start, Phil, is with you. Phil, we launched kind of in a way that I was not really expecting. I think you had all this planned and we didn't really know about it, but you announced the launch via tweet as you took the stage at a campaign and elections panel. What went down last week at the campaign elections panel?
Straight up hijacked it. The topic of the panel was, what does the political consulting firm of the future look like? And I think everybody was there to just be like, oh, we're going to test and measure. And like, they were just throwing out buzzwords. And I was like, guys, 90% of you in this room aren't going to survive the next 3 years because AI is about to take your job. And I was like, you better beg for universal basic income because you're not that talented and you're not keeping up and you're not talking about it and you need to be talking about it.
What was the response like?
This is not just a problem in that setting. It's a problem for me in a lot of settings where I just tend to dominate the conversation. I've been trying to not do that since I was like 5 years old. But the thing is, this is moving really fast and I can't help it. And so I just kind of took over the conversation and started talking about AI and how it's going to impact the industry and how essentially, if you're just starting the conversation, it might be too late. And the reason for that is this thing is moving so fast. The things we could do 3 weeks ago are not the things we can do today. And I would say that, really it's about keeping up at this stage. If you don't have a little bit anxiety about not knowing enough or not feeling in tune, like you need to feel that anxiety. That anxiety is natural. You should feel that. If I saw a poll today, I think Eric Wilson posted it. Let me pull it up for a second.
58% think that it's the future, or no, 58% don't think that it's the future, and 42% think that it is.
58% of political consultants don't think it's going to be transformation.
Those are all the TV guys.
Those are the TV guys. They're going to lose their jobs. I mean, they're not going to stay with the same level of security that they have right now. It's just not going to happen.
Well, jobs are going to change really fast. We talked on the company call yesterday about, people will either approach this. It almost divides itself perfectly in that poll. People will either approach this with fear and anxiety, and it will cause them to withdraw, or they will approach it with some level of excitement and realization that this is kind of a new boom time.
That's right. The next decade belongs to consultants who figure out how to use AI for strategy, message testing, targeting, creative. I mean, AI isn't going to replace the consultants, but consultants who use AI are going to replace those who don't. And I think that's kind of the message that I sent to the Campaigns and Elections Digital Summit. I think the response from some folks was basically like, this dude is unhinged. And then there were at least,
which is accurate. I mean, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I am in fact unhinged. There's no doubt. But there was also a long line of people afterwards that wanted to talk about this because it touched a nerve with their real anxieties and some of them some things they've been testing and doing on their own. And I think that's why this podcast is important. That's why the initiative that we launched is important at Push, is because if you're not having the conversation, then you're not priming yourself for what's next. And it's been folks like Bonnie and Holly and you and yourself, Brian, who have gotten the conversation started here at Push Digital. And I think it's so healthy because what we're seeing is real, not just creative work, but also just speed and precision that we haven't seen before. It's really incredible.
I think one of the best parts of your tweet was something about we expect to be imitated. And certainly you know, after that, a lot of people started, you know, sort of chatting about how they're going to be able to do things, or on the reverse side that, you know, AI doesn't have taste and AI doesn't have soul and it's never going to replace me and all that kind of stuff. And so you see that dividing line, but here's like what I really wanted to invite, especially Holly and have Bonnie here for, was to talk about something that Bonnie spoke about last week. You know, we talked about the purpose of this pod is to actually have some conversations about what we're doing internally. And I think that the launch of Push AI was a great case study in that, because we sort of have, I'm going to kick it to you, Bonnie and Holly. We sort of have a process for how websites come to be, how we launch things, how we go through a procedure, and all that was thrown on its head. What was the experience like for y'all?
Honestly, Holly and I are meeting this week to do a deep dive on websites. Like, what is a website and what's it going to be in the next 6 months? Because it's actually changing. People aren't going to be looking at websites the same way that they were before. They're going to be deploying AI agents to interact with websites for them. And we're just having a lot of cool conversations about that. But with the launch of Push AI, we can also build products, which I'll let Holly get into because she's a product nerd and expert. But we can build products with AI faster than we've ever been able to in the past. And it's pretty exciting because it kind of just levels up all of our products across the board.
Holly, we need like a scheduling and a form to fill out so people can get in contact with us. And you were like, hold my beer, watch this.
Yeah. So Bonnie, you called me an expert, and I just like to throw some spaghetti at a wall and see what sticks, right? I feel like I'm a moonshot idealist product innovator, and I like to tinker a ton. So Bonnie, I think it was a Thursday, you came to me with our intern Ashley and was like, hey, Ashley, what do you have for this? What about a chatbot? Do we buy things? I'm like, no, let's build it. Let's build our own kind of coding thing. And that's when the gears started turning about this chatbot. How can we build a chatbot? How can we leverage literally AI to do all of this for us? A little bit of vibe coding, a little bit of product requirements, acceptance criteria, and all that good stuff. And I think we created a really successful version 1 of a chatbot. Push AI, you can go on the website and have a conversation with our Push assistant. So it's like our glorified front desk person that it's super conversational. It guides the user into gathering data. So it's more interactive than a form, but it gives us the information that we need to start a campaign, right?
I think a lot of people talk about AI and their experience with AI is an LLM. It is ChatGPT. And what I think that what a lot of those 42, whatever it was, % of folks in Eric Wilson's poll that are saying, well, there's no future for this. They are thinking about generative AI that you can talk to and it will statistically predict the next part of the conversation or what the image should look like, or, you know, a poem or a tone of voice or an email. What we're talking about now is agentic AI. This is creating and deploying automated agents, AIs that actually have purpose, that can reason, that can complete tasks. And I think as V1 was able to come together so quickly for our AI chatbot, plug, if you haven't gone to pushdigitalgroup.ai to check it out yet, go talk with our chatbot. We have one now. But just as a V1, this was a matter of a couple of hours, maybe a day or two to stand up.
Yeah. It maybe took a weekend because Bonnie is really particular in requirements and testing all that. But no, it turned out it was about a day, and the back end, it's our expertise. Brian, you mentioned LLM, large language model is our expertise, especially in campaigns. Like, it's learning. We have all this experience in campaigning and what a user wants, what a user sees, what questions to ask, what we ask the right questions. So now it's just mainly how does our chatbot learn which questions we've asked on a daily basis and put it into a chat form instead of just a form fill. It's really intuitive. We can modify it in the blink of an eye. And we also have future plans to future-proof it, right? It's not just a one-stop shop. The possibilities are endless.
I got to be honest with you. I was super impressed by it, but I woke up like, I don't know, maybe the Saturday before we launched it and started like panicking. I was like, what if our chatbot gets like racist? Like
It's always you, the sexual and the rant. All right.
No,
I think you're just trying to be. I think you're just trying to be an edgy podcast at this point.
I was like, is this? It's going to be like, what kind of website do you need? And it's like, oh, I need a.
Don't say the word. I don't have a bleep button. I don't have a bleep button.
It's going to be like, what are you wearing?
That's for V2, and we invite everybody when we get into V2. And this is sort of the anxiety question that I really wanted to ask because we brought this up on the last pod, Eric. You showed us sort of this, if I would have just let this thing off the leash and just would have, if I applied no expertise, if I didn't know what I was doing and I just trusted the sort of analysis and the budget allocations that this model predicted, we would have been in serious trouble with our client. We would have lost a lot of money. These things are not necessarily ready for full deployment. They still have to be shepherded and coached. Like, what is your experience so far on your side? And I think maybe start off with a little bit of your expertise just to put this in context.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about my old life where I built statistical models and databases, and that would take me forever to do that. Now, well, I'll give a real life example. We had this one client that wanted a particular billboard, a digital billboard in one area running during primetime drive traffic. And all of a sudden in May, we're having a terrible time delivering, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Now, my gut kind of told me, well, I think the patterns of people driving in have changed. But what I did was I downloaded a month's worth of available impressions that we could bid on in media. I got how many times we bid on it by day, and then how many times we won a bid or won an impression to serve an ad. And I did that for 30 days. And I had AI build me rolling averages of availability, bids, and percentage of the time we were winning it. And then I asked it to correlate it with the days of the week. And what I kind of came up with the pattern is that around the middle of May 21st, which happened to be rolling into Memorial Day weekend, the availability of the impressions that we could bid on dramatically dropped, and it was statistically significant. I never would have gotten this type of data because there's no way on earth I'm sitting there programming rolling 3-day averages, trying to run a regression model. But the AI literally built it, and I came to the conclusion that it was obvious looking at it that it was summer drive time. The patterns have shifted. And so what then we did was we had a separate conversation with the client about, well, we can't just hone in on these same hours and time of days, day of week that we were bidding on before the summer. We now do it. We have to adjust it and widen them a little bit and adjust our bidding strategy. So we went from literally this morning, I logged on, told Stephanie on my team, hey, congrats, you're actually going to deliver in full. But the beginning of the month, it was so far behind. It was thousands of dollars behind because we just were not able to adjust the bidding or convince the client. But because I was able to use artificial intelligence to build rolling averages and have it correlate regression for me, I knew exactly what day the pattern dropped off, and I could show it to him.
Great political consultant who isn't using this technology, you're about to get your ass handed to you.
So now we have this sort of new set of capabilities. You know, our advertising and our ability to analyze is on steroids now. But what does that mean for our day to day? We've talked a lot on the production side about vibe coding, but what about vibe marketing? What about being able to do some of this like day trading stuff in real time that I've heard about? What is the state of the actual application for agents and artificial intelligence on your team so far?
It's been really fascinating because you literally can download. I mean, I was the only gearhead that was downloading, reams and reams of data and jamming it through because that's what my background is. But now my team can use my experience on how to ask questions and how to build models but they don't have to build the models anymore. You don't have to have somebody that has this skill set that grew up with data and jamming and building regression models. I can pull somebody out that's an advertising major, say, look, I'm going to teach you how to ask AI to analyze your data. Here are the questions you need to ask, but let it do all the hard work for you. Let it build the models. And maybe you don't know what an R squared is, how to determine whether it's correlated, but I could tell you what to ask and what the number you're looking for is. And believe it or not, AI will tell you, oh, this is correlated, or it's negatively correlated, or there's no correlation at all. So you literally could just download reams of data on media and look at how we're bidding and what the conversion date. I mean, for fundraising and acquisition, it's even more powerful because now you can analyze patterns that you couldn't get at before. It would take me hours. I remember back on the Herschel Walker campaign, I downloaded all this WinRed data, analyzed it myself, looking at, I don't know if you knew this, Phil, but I analyzed which credit card types were the ones that were more likely to get fundraising or be ROI positive. And then what I did was I figured it out that it was American Express users, and then there was another one of type of occupation somebody would have. And then what I would do is I would export that data, upload it into, say, Facebook, and have Facebook create a lookalike model. You don't have to do that. I mean, that took me like hours to do. Now I could download it, strip out the customer information, which is easy because I don't care. Load up the information that I really need to build a model and ask AI to build me a model of what's likely to get a donor or what's likely to get a person signing up for email or a person that we think are going to support the campaign. Anybody can do that now. It's just not the one guy that built models before.
And this is really important. What you're talking about and being able to break down data it's always been important in political consulting, but now it's like as things kind of get more diffused in the marketplace, and as national messaging is being replaced by localized sort of values-driven coalitions, consultants who can segment and mobilize niche audiences are going to dominate. Because, yeah, listen, anybody can talk big picture stuff. You can talk big picture stuff to big audiences. But when money's on the line and you're trying to whittle down a budget and you're trying to make the most effective and efficient decisions about your advertising and your media buying, you're going to want to drill down, and you're going to want the robot's help to drill down.
Well, my question is, how does all of this work together? How does this real-time analysis, how does this ability to draw insight from huge amounts of data way more efficiently than we ever could, how is that going to impact production? And how is that production going to impact the content that is produced and put out and SEO? How does all this work together between Eric, Bonnie, and Holly? Like,
this is just my opinion, and we won't know for sure how it works. But it's a good thing that AI is going to reduce production times because the opportunities for advertising and iterations of messaging are only going to increase with what Eric's doing. So Eric's efficiencies are creating more opportunities for more work for Bonnie and Holly. So it's like, It's a really good, it's a really good thing that we have AI on both sides.
One of the cool things about AI in the production space is its ability to make different versions of ads. So like, let's say Eric was hitting like 50 different unique audiences and needed like a different word on each of the ads. Like we can use tools. We can design the ad out beautifully and effectively, like my design team does well. But then we can use the AI software to change text on like all those variations of ads. So we don't slow down Eric's team in placing them. It just makes us more efficient and speedier in getting our clients' messages to people faster.
And then Holly, what is the deal with search engine optimization? I imagine most of the audience is familiar with, but what is it? Does Google prioritize and index copy that is written by a human? Is it better to write it yourself, or can you just spam a bunch of content with AI? Can you just produce a ton of stuff to generate a bunch of websites, and those agents are going to prioritize it all the same way?
Yeah, so I think your question is twofold, right? Like you have the Google search engine, but the question is, what are people using nowadays to get their answer? And it's not Google anymore. It's ChatGPT, my best friend, ChatGPT. I mean, Phil, you said the other day.
Chad? Did you say chat?
Yeah, I don't want
love that.
to say ChatGPT. He's my
You
best
want a
friend.
friend. You want a robot
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah. He's my best friend, coworker, digital nomad. But Phil, you said SEO is dead the other day. I don't want to.
It's not
Mhm.
search. It's search SEO. That's
Yes.
dead.
Yeah. I want to get into that. I do think you're right, and a little bit of my heart breaks because you're right. And I hate saying you're right because I think your head got bigger and bigger. But I was on a client call the other day and AI came up, but now it's not focusing on search engine, it's the answers that we get. So definitive answers and how we become experts with those answers. For example, I'm looking at pools right now for my house because it's hot. If I ask Chad, what is the best pool company near me? It gives me the best pool company near me based off of reviews, based off of data-driven insights. It's not just like searching blogs and who has the best content out there. It's giving me the results that I want to hear based off of the data and based off the reviews, like I said. So I think the shift is becoming the experts in your domain and what you're trying to campaign for, instead of just being a, hey, Chad, give me an article about Coca-Cola, right? He can grab all of the data about Coca-Cola and write an article. But is it correct? Who knows? It might just be spitting out thousands of LLMs and
Or hallucinating, which is like, I think that I do.
Yeah, it's not fact checking itself.
I think a great example of this is like the other day, I told ChatGPT, like, hey, I use John Varvatos vintage cologne. I'd like to expand my luxury cologne collection. Can you make suggestions that will complement what I currently have?
You don't want to trust it with smells.
And it held shit. It doesn't know, dude. And it gave me like Tom Ford's Noir. And it gave me all the reasons why this new cologne will complement what I currently have. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, how much did Tom Ford pay to be the response? What did they do to be the first response? And that's what we as political consultants have to start thinking about, because they're not going to, people aren't going to ask, tell me about Lindsey Graham. They're going to say, who's the best candidate for me? And we have to be building out entire ecosystems that when the robots crawl it, they're going to give the answer that we want our clients and our voters to get. And it's anticipatory. It's really interesting.
Yeah. And I've learned that ChatGPT is keeping a record of everything that I say nowadays, and it's actually humiliating. And it's bringing up things from like a year ago that I have no longer interested in. And I'm like, Chat, come on, learn me. Don't give me advice from things that I've asked a year ago. I've became smarter since then. So it's really creating a personality type for you, in my opinion, and it's learning based off that personality type of.
Have you done those prompts where you ask to be described by chat?
Unfortunately, but it's
dude, it loves me. It gives me everything I want to hear.
God.
Worse than that, you can. It's a great little party trick. If you don't mind being embarrassed a little bit, you can ask it to roast you based on everything you know about me. Why don't you just roast me to all my friends? And it, like, if you tell it to not hold back, it'll still try and be nice, but it will reveal some things that you might not want described about yourself. But I think one of the things that you said, Phil, and you keep saying, and I think sort of dropped a bomb on this panel, is that AI is going to touch every part of a campaign. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I want to talk about to kind of wrap things a bit, is really helping people expand their minds outside of their interactions with their ChatGPT or their Claude or their Perplexity. Like when they're just chatting with an LLM, that is one thing. But this agentic application and just the idea, like I sent a thing to you yesterday, Phil, and it's this guy talking about his kids and how his kids, even when they are hanging out with each other, they just look at their phones and they don't want to talk to people and they don't want to answer their phone. And they certainly don't want people coming to their doors and door knocking. And you start thinking about, what does this mean for phone banking? What does this mean for direct mail? What does this mean for doing the door-to-door GOTV door knocking? Like when somebody comes to your door, imagine this person is wearing glasses that is reading them a script. Like one of my favorite things that I got to tell you all about, I guess, as a podcast audience, not just everybody here, because I'm pretty sure I've shared it around. There's an app called Cluely, and it will come up on your screen as you're perhaps conducting an interview or you're, having a client conversation. And as it's listening, it can generate answers for you. So if you imagine that like a door knocker is going to have a script and they're supposed to read from that script and sort of talk to the person that is a high propensity voter and make sure that they are informed and ready to get out to vote. What if the screen is giving them prompts based on that person and responding in real time with the most effective language to feed to them? Think about all the applications and what are some weird things that people haven't thought.
You're going to get some really smart OnlyFans performers.
Yeah, you talking about Charlie? Are you talking about Charlie Kirk, or who are you talking about?
Our brains can't think of all the implications for this. All I can say is, like 10 years ago, we used to be so cool because we would be like, "Oh, we're a digital first agency. We're digital first. We're digital first." Digital first is dead. Now it's AI native. Digital first used to mean knowing how to run ads on Facebook. Now, with AI being AI native, it means building entire campaign infrastructures around machine learning, generative content, and predictive analytics. One of the things we haven't talked about, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but Eric, you can just touch on it at a surface level because I don't want to give away too much secret sauce. But
Okay.
Predictive ability of things that are data-based for AI is going to dramatically impact campaign advertising.
I won't give away too many secrets
because we've already done a little bit of this and it's incredible.
Yeah,
it's
one of the things, you're trying to figure out, in political advertising, right? It's a cycle, it's cyclical. It's when,
right.
What time of year we're advertising, what happens to the CPMs, because then there becomes more pressure and more bidding. I'll give an example. Even last year, we were running along at a certain very competitive state. It wasn't Montana, and we're running along, and our CPMs on CTV were going great, and then all of a sudden they tanked. Can't figure out what's going on. And I noticed that when I had just 2 days worth of data, that at the beginning of September 1st, our win rates went from, I don't know what they were, 5% to like 1%, which means we weren't going to deliver in full. And I'm like, oh, it's obviously more competition. Somebody just went in and made a massive ad buy. And I went in there and tweaked up our bids, and off we went running again. Now I can look at our patterns of what we're seeing on CPMs and win rates. I can go back and get all that data going back a couple years, load it in by month, and then I can ask. I don't use Chad. I use Gemini because all of our data is in Google Sheets, and I just press a button and it starts analyzing the data for me. And so I press that button, and of course it says, oh, your CPMs are dropping, so by the fall it's going to be X% lower. But it doesn't know that it's going to rise because of more competition. So then I have to tell it, well, you're wrong, which I like doing. You're wrong, right, because there's going to be more competition to fall. So looking at the patterns for the last 2 years, even though our CPMs are dropping in 2025, what is it going to look like in the fall? And give it to me by month, and it predicted a X% increase in CPMs, which helps you plan, because now if I'm planning, Phil comes and says, I need a media plan for general election.
The implications of predictive analytics spat out by AI are going to have a massive impact. It's an arms race, guys. It's crazy. This is like the Manhattan Project for advertisers, because it's going to impact your budgets. It's going to impact your strategy. It's going to impact, and once everybody gets a hold of this, you're going to be basing decisions based on the fact that other people have this data. And so this is going to end up being 4D chess in the advertising world. It's wild.
Crazy.
I was just going to say, but also it's like what Eric's talking about, the way it goes back to what we were talking about last week. When experts who know about this already use these tools, it's insanely powerful. Like when Holly used AI to help make this chatbot, and Eric used all these things to make predictive model. Like, it's just like, you can just use it, but when you use applied strategy and knowledge, it's like what you can do is just truly amazing.
Dude, I love my wife and I am a very sweet husband. ChatGPT makes me a much sweeter husband.
I didn't have to bleep that one.
I was getting ready for it.
I'm way more emotionally connected than I've ever been.
Holly, anything on your radar that you're super excited about?
I'm excited to see where chatbots go. The tricky thing with AI is that you can use AI for a lot of things, but you still need to be the subject matter expert in your domain. Leveraging humans and having that cooperation with AI is just going to be insane in the next upcoming months from a product perspective. I don't know, AI, BI, business intelligence. I think that's...
How close are we to the push AI chatbot from being able to integrate with Asana, put people on task, and just like sort of lead us through the execution of, say, a media buy? Like, how if somebody were to come to us and say, we've got X amount of time.
No, don't answer all of that. Just give us a wink and a nod. Like, are we headed there? Tell us we're headed there.
Give me 4 hours. No, just kidding.
Yeah, don't. I know
Yeah.
that. Hey, that's the most exciting thing about right now. I heard Sam Altman say the other day that this is the era of the ideas guy. Well, the great thing about the five of us here is that we are all very different personalities. We come from very, very different backgrounds. We have very different skill sets, but we're all ideas people here. And so because we have great ideas and because we have a passion for this new technology, we're able to come up with some pretty innovative things. One of my favorite things to do right now is to call up Eric and be like, what if we did this? And him go, great idea, Phil. Let's give it a try. It's amazing.
You really can be that excited right now. This is one of those moments, just like in 2006, 2007.
I have to curb my ideas. During the day, will sit around and be like, what if I did this? And I'll be like, Phil, that's not a good use of your time. You're managing partner of a large political consulting firm. You don't need to create a dating app. Let's stop.
Is that wienerbox.com?
No, that's not.
Now it is. Now
it's both a hot dog subscription service and a dating app.
Oh my gosh. Everybody, I appreciate that we can have these conversations. What I'm super excited about is that we are coming together each week to bounce ideas off of each other, and that we're leading this company in some super exciting things. We will continue these conversations weekly because things are just changing that fast.
The surface with Holly, where it's just like, next time she comes on, I would love to talk about agents and the concept of agents and what the heck is an agent? So we'll find out at another episode.
Nice. Cliffhanger.